except maybe her.
What's going on, everyone? It's Chris Hitois here, coming at y'all with another movie review. My first review for the 2017 summer movie season, and that review is for Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2, the sequel to 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. Y'all remember that 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy, the one that people thought was going to be Marvel's first bomb, and it became one of Marvel's biggest hits. They're able to take this group of unlikely heroes and personalities, have them form a team, and it's a movie that's just loved by everyone. And I really love the movie too. I think James Gunn, what he was able to do with that first Guardians of the Galaxy, was really something special in that it was a Marvel property that hardly anyone had really heard of, but he was able to add a great spin on it, make it a lot of fun. The use of music, the visuals was all just top notch. And him and all of the cast from the original Guardians are coming back for Guardians Volume 2. And when it comes to a sequel, if you look at the people online reviewing this movie, some of the big critics and whatnot, I just sort of think that people take things too far when they're reviewing the sequel to a movie that everyone really loved. A lot of times people, they just make it such a downer if the movie's not as good as the original, and it just creates such a bad atmosphere. And for me, the way I look at things is that if I have a sequel to a movie that I really like, I just want to see that story continue, and I want to see it continue in a competent way, and on a way that I can really enjoy it. And unless you give me like a huge piece of shit to a movie I like, that's when I have a problem. But if you can still just continue the story in a good way with the characters and a narrative that I really enjoy, then that's okay for me. And that's sort of how I felt with Guardians Volume 2. In terms of the plot of the movie, the trailers for this movie really did sort of a good job of not spoiling what the plot is for this movie. I'm not going to spoil what the plot of the movie is, but just the basic premise is that the Guardians are back. Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and little baby Groot. They're all back. They end up encountering Star-Lord's father, Ego, the Living Planet, played by Kurt Russell, and a lot of crazy shit goes on from there. And people from the first movie, some of the people from the first movie, notably Yondu and Nebula, they come back into the mix, and that's really the basic plot of the movie, and all you really need to know. And for me, I had a lot of fun with Guardians Volume 2. I saw it on a kick-ass Friday night. It was a great movie atmosphere. I saw it in IMAX 3D, and seeing it in IMAX, they gave us some cool little collectibles like these cards and this little mini poster right there. I like it when movie theaters do that for people who see movies in IMAX. But with that out of the way, I had a lot of fun in this movie, man. For me, what I enjoyed about this movie is that really they smartly gave you more of what you wanted from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, or more of what you loved from it. So they really do a good job of keeping up the comedy. That was the great thing in the original Guardians. The banter between all the characters is really great one-liners and whatnot. But what I really noted about this movie is that they really upped the game when it came to the spectacle. Like all of the action and special effects and whatnot, it's really top notch in this movie. And it made the first movie seem kind of small when it came to action by comparison. You can compare the level of scale of action in this one, really tops the first one. And that first Guardians wasn't really small when it came to spectacle, but spectacle either. I mean, that had some really cool moments, but this one, it's really huge in the stuff they do. Some of the sequences I enjoyed. I'm not going to spoil the context or whatnot, but I thought the opening action bit was really great. That looked fun in 3D. There's some fun moments throughout the film, but the final battle was just huge spectacle, and I really, really enjoyed that as well. But beyond the spectacle and the special effects and whatnot, what this keeps going from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess we'll call it Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 from now on, is that it continues the great stuff with the characters, man. And what Volume 2 does is that they really go deeper into what these characters are all about and sort of the personal dilemmas that they're going through. Like, as advertised in the trailer, the big thing in this movie is between Star-Lord and his dad, Ego, the Living Planet. played by Kurt Russell, who did a really good job in this movie. I really like the dynamic those two had going on, and there's some really good story moments between those two, and just some scenes of them together in general. Yandu, everyone remembers him from the first movie, the dude with the whistle and the arrow, coming back, played by Michael Rooker. I think it's pronounced Rooker. Um, he's great. His character has some deeper stuff going on with him as well. Rocket has some interesting character stuff, and we see why he is the way he is, and that was really cool. Rocket, he's just a really entertaining to listen to, and all the snippy bits that he has. The Drax is funny as always. He had some great line. He's even more funny in this one than he was in the first one, and the stuff he has with Mantis, another new character, was great as well. The character dynamic I was really looking forward to in the movie was between Gamora and Nebula. Everyone remembers their dynamic in the first one, this sort of sibling rivalry, if you will, and Nebula really hated Gamora, and you really see into why that is in this movie. Not going to spoil whatever, but there's some really good backstory, and you sort of feel that tension and that history between those two, and to see them go at it at times in this movie and where their relationship goes, it was really great. So I think that was my favorite dynamic in the movie. A lot of people are down on the actress who plays Nebula, saying she's too over the top. No, I don't agree with that at all. I think she's perfect in what she's doing in this movie. I mean, I don't know what you would expect of a blue, half mechanical being to be like, but I think she does a really good job in this movie. The actress who does Nebula. So loved Nebula, loved her dynamic with her and Gamora. But the big thing everyone wanted to see in this movie, a lot of people who were really looking forward to it, was little baby Groot, man. And the thing with little baby Groot is that even from the first trailer, I was afraid that that whole dynamic was going to get overplayed. The thing with baby Groot, even though he is cute, I was just sort of afraid that it would be too much in this movie. But nah, hell no, man. I love little baby Groot. First of all, he is adorable, but he's used just in the right amount, man. He's not overbearing at all. He's just put in just the perfect amount to this movie. His bits are really funny and cute, of course. And, he is a scene stealer of the movie, so that was great to see little Groot in there. I mean, Groot was such a great, memorable character in the first one. Just this tree who all he says is, "I am Groot." But little baby Groot is something that I really enjoyed in this movie, so I was really happy to see how Groot was used in this movie. So you see all the stuff that this movie's had going for it, man. Just continues a lot of the stuff that was fun about the original Guardians, takes it to another level to where it's just a great crowd-pleasing movie. But I do think, though, and I will get into just some complaints right here, is that it's almost like the movie gave you too much. What the movie sort of reminded me of was the same problems that Age of Ultron had. And you've seen how sort of that movie's been sort of received in the past few years. People view it as a disappointment. And as I said, with how I judge sequels to a movie I really like, as long as you can continue the story in a competent way and still fun, then I don't have too much of a problem with it. But Ultron, in fairness, Ultron was not as good as the first Avengers movie. And that's sort of how Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2 is for me compared to the original Guardians, in that it almost gave you too much at the expense of really the main thing was really a great story narrative. This movie's got a weird sort of narrative going to it to where it's really not slow, but you're not sure where the story's going, not really a great story through line going throughout it. Kind of weird. And all of a sudden, bam, we get to like the big shoot 'em out climax. And while it's fun to watch, it doesn't make for sort of a great way to tell a story. And that's sort of how I felt like watching it. And the whole time you're watching, you're going like, okay, where's this movie going? Kind of weird. And then, okay, at least we're getting to fun bits, but that's not a great way to tell a story, I think. And there's really, I mentioned giving you more of what you love. It's almost too much comedy in this movie, which is another problem that Age of Ultron had. And it's sort of a problem that some Marvel movies have, where it's almost like Marvel movies are known for having lots of great comedy and trying to keep the audience entertained, but it's almost too much. Like you get to some parts where you want to see it's a nice dramatic scene, and then they undercut it with a joke. And I almost think that James Gunn he tried to do that. He tried to do that too much in this movie, to where it's like, hey, people love the jokes, so I'm going to keep giving them more of them. And it was just too much in some scenes that were supposed to be dramatic. There was one scene which I definitely cannot spoil for you at the end, where it's supposed to be dramatic, and it's dramatic throughout the entire scene, and then you end it with a joke, and it's like, oh, come on, you don't need a joke in every single movie, so in every single scene. So that was a problem I had there. So it's just a little too snippy at times, like how some Marvel movies just get a little too snippy. And just one more complaint is sort of an element going on in this movie was this race of gold people. I have no idea what they're called, but you've seen them in the trailer. Their leader, this woman named Aisha, they're sort of a presence through the movie where they're sprinkled in and out, and they're almost in it to where they just don't really add anything really all that strong to the narrative or whatnot. They're almost sort of a weird annoyance, and they have some bits where they're supposed to be funny, but there are times that, again, it's just taking it too far with the comedy. Like there's this whole thing where their ships, they're such an advanced race where it's almost like an arcade, the way they're controlling ships. And that bit's just a little too much. So there's another complaint with the comedy right there. But you get those complaints out of the way, focus on the stuff that I was talking about at the beginning. This is still a really, really fun sequel. Give you more of what you enjoyed. I had a whole lot of fun in the movie. Great movie. It was a great atmosphere seeing the movie, but the movie itself did deliver for me. And I was happy that they were able to make a good sequel and good continuation of this story and these characters through the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a 7.5 out of 10. Lots of fun, enjoyed the hell out of it. In terms of, lots of great Easter eggs throughout the movie, just little bits, cameos sprinkled out here and there. That's a lot of fun to watch. I love that dynamic when it comes to these big sort of franchise movies, especially these Marvel movies. Easter eggs are a lot of fun. And 5 post-credit scenes. They weren't lying about that, but yeah, there are 5 of them, so stick around for those. In terms of setup for Infinity War, this movie doesn't really do a whole lot isn't focused on in setting up Infinity War really much of all, which that's sort of a good thing that I was able to concentrate on being its own movie. There are little hints here and there, but nothing big. It's not a grand setup for Infinity War, which I did enjoy that. The setup for Infinity War, that'll likely be Thor Ragnarok's job, which they played that trailer in front of Guardians, and that was probably the best trailer that they played out of all the trailers they played, and they played some really great trailers before this movie. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Hope y'all enjoyed this review. Go out and see the movie, and if you have seen it, tell me what you think. Leave it in the comment section below, and peace out, y'all. I'll see you around with another vid.